Welcome. This is Shakti Carola Neverin. I'm an online astrologer and I do what we call evolutionary astrology. So that means that we look at everything in the personal birth chart of a person from the karmic perspective, from the perspective of the soul, which is all about growing in consciousness, rising to a higher level of consciousness, and ultimately really follow our soul's path. So I'm doing these forecast readings for you to help you to thrive, to help you to integrate more consciously challenging energies coming at you. I often say, imagine the planets as gods and goddesses coming knocking at your door. So these overall general forecasts help you to navigate more closely in accordance to your own chart. So if you don't know your chart, you can go to my website, Maui Astrology Reading, and there you can sign up for my newsletter, and then you get your chart where you can see where all the planets are, and then you can see how the forecast, kind of what it's activating in your personal chart. So today I want to talk about the new moon, full moon, Mercury retrogrades, my weekly forecast readings. That's all the different longer forecasts I'm doing, and then I do the 1 minute forecasts for every day, so you have a little kind of conscious reminder what the day is about. And there I discuss a lot about the moon astrology, because the moon is so fast shifting and changing in and out of signs, and the moon is tremendously powerful in the sign it is for 2 days. And then of course the new moon and the full moon are kind of very specific points of activation. So the new moon is kind of a new start into a whole new month, and I look at that as a beginning of that soul's movement of maturation, of emotional growth. So our emotions are actually our internal guidance system. So in general we can say when we feel good, we're kind of in the flow with something, and if we don't, then we need to adjust, and all that is happening inside of our mind, our consciousness. So astrology is really just a very powerful tool to raise your consciousness and to be more aware of what's happening out there in the celestial energies coming at you. Okay, so the new moon is happening in Aries on the 27th at 7.5 degrees, and the Aries is a big shift. It's a beginning of something new. It's a beginning of a new cycle of evolution. So we had the spring equinox just a few days back, and that was when the sun stepped into Aries. So when I talked about that in my weekly forecast, I said that even if we already have that shift of our consciousness into Aries, into that spunkiness, that fiery energy, we still have or had the moon going through the end of the zodiac. So as of today, the moon is still in Aquarius. So on Monday, when the new moon is really happening, then all our forces, belly and head, consciousness and unconsciousness, are both pulling into the same direction, are both kind of guiding us to be spunky, to be active. So it's really an invitation, instead of being reactive towards life, to be proactive, to do something according to your beliefs, according to your values, and move forward. So also this new beginning now with sun and moon in alignment, with the new moon, with that general new beginning in the beginning of the zodiac, is even stronger, because altogether there are 5 planets in Pisces right now. So there is Venus, which is kind of close to the new moon. There is the moon, the sun forming the new moon. Then there is Uranus, and then there is Mercury. So 5 planets in Aries, that kind of new beginning, pioneer energy, standing up for what you believe in. And then of course Aries is ruled by Mars. So Mars is really the archetype of the warrior. So on the high end, it's a knight, the good knight who has a goal, who fights his fears and does with courage what's needed anyway. So it's a beautiful archetype. But of course, all the planets can show up on the lower end side of the sign they're in. And the lower end of Aries is war, is aggression, is reactivity, is abuse, all the nasty stuff we don't want. So the only deciding factor how we personally experience this new moon to shape up in our life is that conscious choice to focus on the high-end possibilities. And those high-end possibilities are to focus on where you want to go. What's your goal? What's your beliefs you stand for? So Aries in that perspective is also the activist. And I do believe there are many reasons right now in the world. I mean, a lot of bad stuff is happening out there in the political landscape, and I think it's more than ever needed that we all really walk our talk, that we all stand up for what we believe in. And with the Venus in almost a conjunction with the moon, the new moon, it's really about to be in alignment with our heart. So the heart stands for our love, our kindness, our ability to connect with the other, to step into the world from that place of compassion and empathy. So the compassionate warrior is the one who stands for the weaker ones, who takes charge. And this is along the lines where I want you to do a little brainstorming about this month. So first of all, I'd like you to ask yourself the question, where in your life are you holding back because you're scared, because there are fears? So that's actually a really powerful question. And if you do know your personal chart, I can give you a hint. It's probably where your Mars is in your chart, in the house that kind of shows you the area where you need to learn about courage, where you need to stand up for something you believe in. So I know that often we are more challenged by the idea of failure and not getting to the goal or intention we're setting ourselves. So it's often easier not to even start doing something than to experience failure and things not working out. So, but that's kind of crumbling of the Mars spirit. So you do want to take that step, to take that risk. And the good news is there's no real failure, because always we're learning something. So even if things don't work out the way we were envisioning them, we learned something, we moved up in consciousness, and we do things different next time. And that's good enough for me. So the whole idea of the months we're looking at is that we want to take this opportunity of this particular celestial wave breaking and starting anew, is that we want to change our life from being reactive to circumstances, which means we're always kind of a step behind, or we decide to become proactive. We decide to organize ourselves and do the steps as needed to get to our vision, to where we know we want to head towards. So of course that connects us to the next question: where lies your passion? And again, in your birth chart, Mars will give you a lot of information about it. So passion is something we really are connected with, something where our heart, our energy flows vibrantly, and we feel alive, and we feel in the flow with our own heart and maybe something bigger. So where's your passion? So have a look at your Mars in your chart, and it will give you a lot of hints and ideas how to go about that. And then you might ask yourself the question, where is it in your life that you have to take action, where you need to make a stand? And I have encountered quite some criticism about my political opinions and views. I mean, I don't talk a lot about politics, but how can I not talk about politics if astrology is really the guiding system for how you can thrive as a person in your life? And all this stuff happening out there in our bigger field is pushing at our personal ability to be happy and in alignment. So I do believe I have to also make a stand and be truthful about what I believe in, and only then can I attract people who are in alignment with my frequency, with my teachings, and these are ultimately the people I'm looking for. So ask yourself, where is it that you need to be a little bit more truthful and honest and in alignment with those inner beliefs you have. So I do believe we as an individual need to stand up for the changes, for the good we want to see in the world, and be part of that. And history has shown us that the grassroots moments, the morphogenetic field changing into higher levels of consciousness and acting on that these are the most powerful changes of consciousness. And you're invited with this new moon to be part of that. Okay, so you might want to listen to my last weekly forecast, because I explored this theme with the sun moving into Aries with the spring equinox. So I covered a little different perspective onto the Aries qualities there. If you have been following my forecasts, you know that I do a lot of balancing and helping you to focus with the help of gemstones. So gemstones are just perfectly aligned, balanced energies. They are kind of this mediator between the frequency level, the non-physical dimension of life, and the physical manifestation, bringing in those energies. So we look at gemstones as healers or as astrologers from the level of what specific signature a gemstone has. So there are many gemstones who you could use in the coming months. All of those are the red stones, the black stones. But then I wanted to talk a little bit about the hematite, because it's such a beautiful example of how really the healing and the influence of gemstones do work. So the signature of a gemstone is composed out of the crystal structure, the chemical composition, the color, the light reflection, and how that all comes together. So hematite is kind of a really interesting stone, because when you polish it under a wheel and water running over it, the runoff will be blood red. So, which is kind of really unusual, right? But it has to do with a high iron composition of hematite. So iron is Mars. So Mars energy, if you have challenges around your life force energy, then the hematite in general is a good stone to carry as a little tumbled stone inside your pocket, close to your root chakra. So hematite is in general an energizing stone, but it can also help us to focus that energy, that life force. And that's why I really like to invite you, not just for this week, but also for the coming months, to play a little bit around with the hematite. So that's a wonderful stone to use to carry in your pocket, or to do some meditation where you can put the stone onto your chakras, preferable the first chakra, and to just tune to that subtle energy and how it enlivens and picks up your physical energy. So of course, there are many more stones you might already own, you could use according to the Aries energy. So all red stones, garnet, maybe even the carnelian, which is a reddish stone, brownish reddish stone. But I think the hematite is such an unusual stone, and it's so much in alignment with what's going on, that I really like you to play around a little bit with it. It's a very cheap stone. It's easy to find or get somewhere in your gemstone store. So yeah, play around with it and let me know what you think about it. Be aware that for you personally, there might be actually another stone correlating to your Mars position in your chart. So remember, in the beginning I talked about that you always have to relate the general information back to your personal birth chart. So if you love gemstones, I would like you to get your gemstone profile report. It's just $20. Link is down there, and there you will find your true birthstones described from a metaphysical healing level and how it fits back in your chart. So there will be one gemstone which is really supporting your individual Mars in your chart and helps you with that focus of life force energy, and helps you to become laser sharp with those intentions, and helps you to be proactive instead of reactive. So yeah, have a look at that. If you love gemstones, I think it's a wonderful stone. Or those are the stones you want to get started with if you invest money into having jewelry or into stones in general. You should have your 14 gemstones if you love gemstones. So start with those. So okay, I don't see any questions here. If you like my material, please make sure you like it and leave me a comment, so I don't have the feeling I'm talking into this empty space here. It's always nice to have feedback and to have a little dialogue there. So even if you leave me a comment later, I will get back to you and share your experiences with the gemstones, with the weekly forecast. So I'm there. Okay, my dears. So I'm so happy you visited. I wish you aloha, as we say here on Maui, where I'm from, and namaste. I greet the divine in you, and make sure you sign up for my newsletter so I can keep you in the loop with these longer videos, and make sure you get your personal birth chart. And I also throw in what I call the Love Stone Report. So it's a gemstone which correlates back to your Venus position in your chart. Okay, all the best. See you soon. Aloha.